What's up, Quakes fans? We're back with another episode of Tectonic Takes. I'm here as always with my co-host Devon. Devon, how you doing today?
Uh, it's a good day. It's a decent week. You know,
It's
we
an awesome week. Shut up. It's the
Quakes
best week of my
win.
life.
Quakes
Quakes
win.
win. 3 points.
Finally, versus an
It was
LA team. Beat LA.
exactly. It's not just that we won, but it's also who we won against in the fashion that we did. So, it was a big game against a very big rival in front of a lot of fans. We had 43 point 43,744 fans attended the game on Saturday. I don't know if that was made public. I hope I don't get sniped for giving that information away. Um, but it was apparently the largest game that didn't include Messi and wasn't a home opener in MLS.
I mean,
And
yeah, that's insane. I'd also want to give a shout out because I'm a big Formula One fan, and one of my favorite drivers, Lando Norris, finally wins his first race out of 100 plus races he's been involved in for the last 5 years. Uh, Lando Norris has deserved every single opportunity he's been given, but this is
it doesn't sound like he has, bro.
Sunday
It
was the
sounds like
first
he's.
time he redeemed himself. So I'm really freaking happy that Lando Norris won a race finally.
So it sounds like you like teams and racers, sports people who don't win a lot. That seems like
It's
a
a good
theme.
underdog story. But no, I'm a huge Red Bull fan, specifically for Max Verstappen. But I like Red Bull no matter what, even if he leaves to a different team.
But not their soccer team though.
No, not New York. Maybe somewhere in other countries, I'll support Red
Yeah,
Bulls.
Leipzig. Yeah, like
Leipzig,
that's
maybe. I'm a Dortmund fan, so
yeah,
I can't say I want Leipzig to win anything. But
right. But yeah. Anyways, back to the Quakes.
yes,
We I say we like I was involved. They managed a 3-1 win over LAFC. LAFC have not been at their best this year, but they're still LAFC. They still had Denis Bouanga, um, and he was a scary player to watch yesterday. I thought that a lot of people were, bantering on him, saying like, "Oh, we don't need to be scared of Bouanga," but I was kind of nervous every time he got the ball. What did you think?
I mean he megged someone right in front of our 18 and managed to get a couple of shots on target. Yeah, no, he was fierce and dangerous. I was telling Casey in the last podcast, like, there's one player that you have to look out for, and it's Dennis Bouanga, and he proved me right. Like, or he proved all of us right, not even just me. I think we were all on the same page. he,
Yeah.
you have to stop Dennis Bouanga in order to stop the goals from coming in, and that's exactly what the Quakes did. He did get some opportunities, but we also have the legend William Yarbrough in goal. I don't know why people decided to hate on our goalkeeping this season because Big Willie comes and saves the day. Like, you have to give full credit to Willie here.
He has earned that nickname, Big Willie. No, and I did I'm glad that you brought up this topic because it's such a frustrating thing to have to remind folks why we have so many goalkeepers. And I know that like it's kind of weird, right? What team has six goalkeepers? We just brought in Jacob Jackson. I don't know. I don't even know who this guy is, but we need goalkeepers. That's all I can say. So we have two teams. We don't just have the Earthquake. We also have the Town FC that we're responsible for. They need goalkeepers, right? Uh, our first two goalkeepers. People are like, why are we bringing Yarbrough? We have Daniel JT. We don't have Daniel or JT. They are both very badly injured and going to be out for the whole season. Looks like. What do you want? We have Yarbrough. Thank Leach. I
Yep.
want everyone to get on their knees and bow down to GM Chris Leach for foreseeing these things and making these deals happen so that we can win against LAFC and have a goalkeeper putting up phenomenal performances that we didn't even pay for. We got this guy for free.
I don't think Quakes fans understand how important Leach has been to us. And, we're going to go on some side tangents here as we go along, but that's totally okay. But, like, yeah, it's exactly what you said. Like, he went ahead, thought 4 steps ahead of what exactly was going to happen, went out and got Yarbrough. Daniel is out. JT is out. There is an update on JT. I don't know if I should cut this or not, but, he was seen jogging So he is now running. He's now, gaining fitness, improving pretty gracefully, if you might ask. Yeah, we're happy to see JT come back, but it's one
For
thing
sure.
that I'd like to mention in that, the one of the windows closes for the roster. The roster freezes in August. Neither player, Daniel or JT, will be available during August. So, what are they going to do when the roster freezes? Are we going to put Daniel on the roster freeze on the roster before it freezes, in hopes that he recovers in time, or are we going to add another goalkeeper like Emi Ochoa, or
Yeah.
are we gonna bring on Bianski? You don't we don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen. You don't know. We're all speculating here, but it is one of those questions that we have to ask. Like, our two top goalkeepers are going to be out. What are we going to do
Hmm.
then?
I mean, what's gonna happen is that Emmy, we can no problem have him signed onto the roster and he'll just be there. But we brought in this new guy, Jacob Jackson. I'm sorry, JJ. Let's call him JJ. This new guy from New England, I believe,
The
maybe
Revs, yeah.
Chicago. Yeah, okay, New England. I get those two mixed up, same colors. But we brought him in. He could be number two while Emmy goes and gets experience at Quakes too. Because as it is right now, I don't know if you guys realize this, and it makes me very frustrated. People don't understand. When Emmy is number two, he can't be number three. And what that means is that he has to be available for every first team match and be on the bench and make sure he doesn't play any games because it's a liability issue. So he cannot get any experience while he is the only option at number two. So if we bring in a number two to sit on the bench, which is what Emmy is doing, he's not doing anything but sitting on the bench and warming up before every game. That's all the action he's getting. If we have a number two set there, that's not Emmy. That means Emmy can go and play with Quakes two and continue to kick butt with them. That's what we want. We want him to get experience. That's the whole reason of having MLS Next Pro. And also today, as of recording this, is Emmy's 19th birthday.
Happy birthday,
Um,
Emmy. You're never going to see
Happy
this, I
birthday.
don't think, but if you do see this, happy birthday. We
Does
could.
not He does not care about us.
He does
But
not.
that brings up another thing. Do you want say we didn't bring in Yarbrough, like a lot of people, are would have liked. They don't like that we brought him in, and they don't like that he's here. I think a lot of people might have changed their tune, but regardless, imagine they got their way. Emmy's number one, the 19-year-old goalkeeper. Is that what we want?
It is not what we want. And you're the
No,
Quakes.
and
You're the Quakes 2 guy.
yeah,
You know more than most people that Emmy is not ready for MLS play. He's not ready for the first team.
exactly. And Emmy has incredible ability. I mean, he's very tall, especially for his age. He's always been super tall, very agile. He has incredible ability and kept quicks too in a lot of games, but he is lacking in a lot of areas like focus and on the ball. I don't think he's special. A lot of keepers struggle with that, but he is one of them. And he's very left-footed. He's not. He can't. Doesn't really use his right sometimes when he tries, or is forced to. It ends up being a turnover, and we don't like those. So I feel like having Colorado's number one keeper brought in for free is a really good deal. And I think that should be case closed on the Yarbrough conversation because he, pretty much solidified the win because they could have gotten 2 goals if it wasn't for Yarbrough easily.
Yep. So to summarize, we love Daniel, we love JT, but that's not going to happen for, I think, this season. So
Yeah,
we're going to rely on Big Willie and the new guy,
yeah.
JJ. We're going to rely on him and JJ for the rest of the season unless one of them gets hurt. So
I mean, JJ, if he's amazing, that's one thing. But I'm happy to have JJ sit on the bench and let Emmy play. Also, if JT was available, I would love that, and I would pick JT. I think that he's one of the best keepers in MLS, who has had a very shitty defensive venom for a long time. But we don't have them, like you said, Devin.
it's
So we have
it's
to move forward with
it's
Yarbrough.
it's tough to come back from a three ligament tear. We're gonna have to be patient with that one. He's gonna be out for a year. I mean, he's already on the injury list for the rest of the season. So
Yeah,
there's no debating that he's out permanent.
yeah, and the the team didn't do a good job of advertising that, so people can be excused for not realizing. But the information is out there. You have to be in the Discord. We know these things not because we're like inside spies, sneaking and getting all this information. We're just paying attention, and that's why we have this podcast to bring it to you, so you can have the information. And if you still don't have the information, I can't help you. You know. So
Speaking of the Discord, I did mention this on Twitter earlier today. I used to do a thing back in 2018, 2017, pre-COVID, where I create a bunch of GIFs from the analyzing the game, and then I post it to social medias. But I can't post GIFs on Apple TV, or else my account might get banned or whatever. So now we have transferred the GIF thread and game analysis through GIF thread onto our Discord server using our channel threads. If you would like to look at those, go ahead, check out down below in our description. We got the Discord server invite. Please come through. There's a lot of key information. A lot of people are able to talk back and forth, analyzing the game together. It's quite an experience.
Quite an experience does not even come close to describing how awesome and weird and messed up the Discord is. It's a unique place, and you'd have to be there to see and experience it for yourself. But yeah, thank you for everyone who's continued to support everyone that's in the Discord right now and watching the podcast. We appreciate you guys, and we hope to continue bringing you guys content.
And speaking of analyzing the game, we just had our second victory of the season versus LAFC at Levi Stadium. For those who didn't watch, I am really sorry. And for those who did, let's celebrate together. How would we like to start this, Abram?
So let's talk about the first goal. The first goal, which I'm struggling right now to remember. So can you please, in your best words, kind of describe it to me?
Yeah, so the first goal was a Christian Espinoza corner kick. It's funny
Right.
because he's been criticized in the past for having bad corners. In past years, it couldn't make it past the first man, and then this game he gets 2 goals directly off of corners. Like, it's insane. So he crosses it, and Rodriguez is the first one to head it, and it goes straight back into the back of the net, right through Hugo Lloris. So, yeah, that was our first goal. You have any thoughts on any of that?
Well, yeah, we do criticize Christian on corners because for every time that he does find the head of a defender with a lot of pace and accuracy, there's many times where he just kicks it really hard into the defender who's standing at the near post, and that's frustrating. So sometimes I feel like we should switch it up. They do have a tactic to kind of change the angle of trajectory of the cross. But when it works, and it's really hard to dispute because the third goal happened because there was no first man. They just kind of neglected to have a defender standing there, and Boronga kind of like moved over to try and be that guy, but then things didn't work his way. But yeah, second goal, I can't forget. Feel free to describe this one as well.
Second goal, another absolutely brilliant pass by Christian Espinoza in his own half. I remember it's by the half line, whether it was in his own half or just past it. It doesn't matter. He crossed the ball, went just beyond 2 of the LAFC defenders' legs. They tried to kick it out, reach out, couldn't reach to it. Went straight to Pellegrino's feet. Pellegrino took a touch around Hugo Lloris and slotted it away in the second half. It's probably Espinoza's pass of the season, assist of the season, one of the MLS passes of the season. All the MLS analysts were like, "Oh my god, what a pass that was! That was brilliant!" Like, it's Espinoza. It's just a normal day to us. Like,
yeah, and I'm glad that we finally have somebody who can get on the end of those passes and do something about it. Because there's been days where Espinoza, oh my god, I have World War II happening outside my house. But no, Espinoza has been making those passes consistently, but we haven't been scoring them. as consistently as he's been making those passes. So Pellegrino is an outstanding finisher. They've tried that move quite a few times this season. Uh, Pellegrino has scored once before off of an Espinosa cross, but this one was kind of in front of the defenders, and just the trajectory was insane. It was David Beckham-esque in the way that it curled around the defenders in a way that they couldn't do anything about it, but it was right to the feet of Pellegrino, who has the experience and the technique and just the composure really to take on the World Cup winning goalkeeper and slot it home with his weak foot. Yeah, amazing goal, amazing pass. And it filled me with a lot of pride for the team because a lot of the times we complain about our personnel, but those are two not world class. I'm getting ahead of myself.
Pellegrino is technically world class. I mean, he scored a ton of goals
No.
in Europa League, right?
World class is Heung-min Son. Like the Premier League players of the world, like Mo Salah. MLS class, like the top of MLS, and they showed why they should be considered in that category of some of the best players in the league. Pele is still working on that, but I believe eventually he can get there. He doesn't have much time to do so, but he looks good right now, so let's focus on that.
He's definitely starting to break his side. We have a little bit of analysis here. During my in-game analysis thread in the Discord server, we had noticed there was a distinct partnership issue between Grezzo and Jackson Yueill. Either Grezzo's pressing up high, causing issues in the midfield area, giving other teams chances to break out on counterattacks. And then there was that one moment where Jackson Yueill and Carlos Grezzo just could not seem to understand who was in possession at the time. And it seems like this is a recurring issue. What are your thoughts, Abram?
Yeah, the first incident that you mentioned where Grezzo pushed really far, I felt like I don't think that he shouldn't be pressuring. I think that in the way that it was set up in that moment, he sees the guy about to receive the pass, and if you look behind him, you see that Bruno Wilson is on his defender. Jackson is further back. There's no one left to press that guy. But where he went wrong was trying to take out both his legs while trying to make an interception. That was insane to me. It was just unnecessary. I think it resulted in a foul, which rightfully so. And I'm conflicted on this, right? Because I think that it was very high, and Grezzo is a CDM, but he was the closest player to that player, and you don't like to see a guy receive the ball by himself as a player in the Grezzo position. You don't like to see the opposition get the ball by themselves and turn around and come at you. So you feel the need to do something about it in that situation where you're the closest guy to that player receiving the ball, and you feel like you could do something. What he felt like he could do was murder that guy, which was you can't do that.
He wanted a little taste. But I had. Oh, sorry. Go on.
No, I wanted to comment on the second instance that you mentioned because I totally agree that was. What is Grezzo like? We can't keep talking about you. We need you to be stable and consistent, and that's it.
He's our DP.
He received the ball because Jackson gave a really slow, rolling ball to him. He received the ball, looked up. When you are a CDM or a 6 receiving the ball in your own half, when are you not under pressure by the opposition's offense trying to get the ball back up high? It just made no logical sense to me to just, ignore all that. He had no idea he was being pressed there. And the guy came in, from his left and just took the ball. That's inexcusable. And I think, the total loss of judgment, and we can't afford that. We could have lost the game there.
Yeah, well, my thoughts were like, both of those instances that I was talking about, Grezzo pushing too high up and the issues with he and Jackson Yueill, dates back to the game versus the LA Galaxy. They had the exact same two issues. When Grezzo was pushing high up, the Galaxy midfield, especially their best player, Pooch or Puig, however you want to say it, took advantage of that and found the space that Grezzo should have been in. Unfortunately for LAFC, they couldn't manage the same tactical advantages, but it's there for teams that are looking to do so. Um, and then that combination with he and Yule, they had the exact same mix up back against Galaxy in the midfield. Same thing. It slowed the play down, and that also happened, I think, with Skane and either Yule and Buddha or Skane and Buddha, one of the two. It seems to be a recurring issue in not just those two, but a lot of other players trying to fight for the same ball. Like, oh, whose ball is whose ball is who. Like,
Yeah.
they've been playing for a while. I'm not, I'm not a professional player. I can't really say too much, but it's one of those things where I you should have enough team chemistry to figure out whose ball it is as it's coming towards you.
No, for sure. And, those are things that Lucci will talk about on the training ground. One of the things that I noticed real quick on the post game press conference, Lucci usually will protect his players to the bitter end. He doesn't like to criticize his players, and he will take the blame. Um, he when Jack Scan got a yellow card for kicking the ball away after he caused a foul and was lucky to stay on because actually no, that was a dive. Later on, he slid and the ref called the foul. Anyways, he was saying that Jackson's play was unnecessary and he knows better. And I actually like that. I like that he held his player accountable. He said something because a lot of the times he's just kind of like, yeah, we're just going to stay positive and try harder next time. And it's like that doesn't really tell us much. But this gave us a glimpse to probably like the conversation that he'll have in the disciplinarian side of Lucci that we don't see, which you'd think that he would have to have to be a coach at this level. But we finally did see something, in that regard.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of Skane, that's actually the next topic, so it's a perfect transition here. Um, I don't know how to feel about Skane. He seems like a good midfielder, but there are things that we just discussed right before the podcast that like he doesn't. He has some good advantages to compare to other players. There are some things he does really well, and then there's like other things, not even some things, just other things that he's average in. For example, like he can get by the defenders on a dribble pretty easily with his speed, but then anything after that, it seems like everything holds him up, and he can't really make a solid play. And whether it be the position he's playing in, he's not really comfortable. It seems like he's being molded into a cam, but it just doesn't really seem like that's exactly what he's made to be. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's kind of like if you you know took a right winger and you were baking the right winger, and then before it's finished baking, you throw it in the cam oven and start baking it as one of those. And so he kind of doesn't have the traits that would fit either, but both at the same time. So yeah, and we did talk about this, and I said that he has like three or four things that he does really really well, and then I think that like the rest of his game is a little underdeveloped. Um, but those three things, he's really good at them, and they're super effective. I really like Scan, and that's my opinion on him because I think that he's worked on things on his weaknesses a lot. Where I felt like in tight spots he would get stuck. Like if there's a defender around him and he's like trying to turn that way, he can't go that way. But now he gets the ball and kind of moves it into space and gives himself the time to do what he needs to do instead of like trying to rushing or panicking on the ball when he receives it. So it's definitely getting a lot better. I think that what brought this up pre-podcast was he missed that shot on his left foot. I don't think I've ever seen him take a good shot with his left foot or make a amazing pass or anything of the sort. Um, I don't think he has an amazing weak foot. So that's one of the things where the the quality I guess lets him down. But like I said, he does have other amazing qualities that we really like because I thought that we all love Nico, but he was super effective this game. Skane was on it the first half and kind of really set the pace for the team to have such a positive outcome.
And you know what? Fair play to Skane as well. He scored versus Nashville to help us get the point. So we
Yeah,
can't really criticize him too much. He did the job. He does the job, and he does it as best as he can, putting in as much
yeah,
effort as he can every play, every game. So, um, yeah, Skane's good. Skane's good.
yeah. I
To
mean,
summarize.
every criticism that we have of Scan comes from a place of we want the best for him, and not just for him, but also the team. We want the best players on the field at all times, and there are times when that situation the situation is that he is the best player at that time because he could do things that other players can't really do. He provides an energy that other players don't really have. He really electrifies and provides more intensity to the attack, whether it's on the ball or off the ball. He's a really good secret weapon, in my opinion. I really like him as a sub because he comes on when the other team's tired. He started this game and he kind of has a different effect, but because of the same attribute that he has, where he kept up the energy and they couldn't keep up with him, and he kind of like broke them down for Hernan Lopez to come on later and take advantage of that.
Speaking of conflicting emotions in players, Jeremy Abobasi seems to have a lot of talking points within our Discord server and Quakes fans alike. He actually, I'll be genuine here. I think he had a decent game versus LAFC. He had a couple really close shots on target, or not on target, but close to being on target. And they were much closer than in recent past. And when I was having a conversation with Casey and Iving last podcast, I said that Jibo, if he sits really far deep, as during attacking possessions, he needs to shoot from further out because those are the chances that he's giving himself. And he did. He started taking longer range shots. Unfortunately, in the box, he had a header opportunity and it went straight to one of the LAFC players' chest, about three feet next to him. And then the other one skied it at about 40 to 50 yards. That was beyond a field goal opportunity there. Um, but I want to take what we can see positive from Jibo, and that he's getting closer and he's realizing exactly what he's capable of and what his advantages are as a deep lying nine, I guess I should say.
Yeah, I think that. I mean, I agree that there's mixed feelings, and I share that sentiment. There are people who think that this is the best game that he's played with us. Uh, I disagree. He didn't score. He scored like a lot of goals for us in previous games, but besides that, um, I I don't take issue with the chance where he skied that shot. I mean, I don't like it. I would hope that he would score those, right? But you're a left footer yourself, Devin. If somebody gave you that ball curling towards your right foot and you're turning from the goal and you have to really quickly, Espinosa does not hit it soft. He hits it hard. You have to turn and hit it with your weak foot. Um, a lot of times it's going to go up to the out of the stadium, and unfortunately, it was one of those times. Um, you know, uh, we've seen him score bangers outside of the box with the right foot. So sometimes I'm like, wow, he has a really good weak foot. Other times I'm like, he has no weak foot, and we got the no weak foot day. So that's really unfortunate. He didn't score, but he was. I really, really, really liked how he was linking up with Lopez because they were, they get the ball and they would, do a behind the back pass and they were like linking up together. And that's the player that is going to be linking up. That relationship is going to be vital to the rest of the season. Jabo and Lopez, and they looked like they had good chemistry already, but they don't speak the same language. And it's like they've only had like 2 or 3 training sessions together, so that relationship is only going to grow. I think that Lopez tried to find Jabo in really dangerous areas. LAFC is still LAFC. They have a good defense, and they kind of cut out those balls that would have otherwise ended up in really dangerous opportunities. Whether Jabo would have scored them or not, I don't know. He's kind of like he's one of those players where he'll score a hard chance and miss an easy one, or some days he'll score a few of the tap ins. he's a all over the place kind of player. He scores all the goals.
It's
With
a
Jabo, you never really
he's
know.
like a day by day player. But that kind
Right.
of leads us in, leads me into the next topic here. And who would be the better nine? I know a lot of the Quakes fans in the Discord prefer Judd, and that's including me. I'll be honest here. I prefer Judd over Jibo, and I think it's because of that partnership that he may have with Hernan that would be advantageous. Said it in the last podcast as well that Hernan, especially in moments versus LAFC, was looking for the forward pass behind the line, looking for as quick as possible to get that counter going. And that's exactly what Judd does. But, kind of like you said, he worked well with Jibo and made a lot of fluid passing, combination play, etc. right there in the attacking midfield area where Hernan should be. I think it's great, but at the same time, making those plays with Jibo kind of prevents that nine from being right there next to the back line, looking for opportunities behind the line, which is why I think time with Judd as well would become more effective and influential into the game. So that's kind of my take on it. I kind of think time with Judd would be spent better with Hernan than it would be Hernan and Jibo.
Yeah, I mean, I can't disagree because we haven't seen it a lot yet. We saw maybe 5-10 minutes with the two of them on the field last game, and by that point, because of how hard Hernan presses, he was tired. He looked tired by the end, and he only played 45 minutes. But it was just because he had to defend for a lot of that half that he did play, so that was understandable. But no, I think that Jabo is a good fit against some teams, and Judd is a really good fit against other teams. So for me, I'm split, and I can't say like this player has to start every game because that's not really the dynamic that they have because they're such different players. They're not like it's not like for like that one's just better. Um, I need to see more from Judd. I like him a lot, and I think that he is a very underrated striker in this league. I want him to start the next game, to be fair, against Oakland Roots, because I think that he can really show his power and what he has to offer against them. Yeah, like I said, I think that it's going to be a game by game thing. If Lucci feels that the defense is weak at covering balls in behind, I would prefer Judd to be on the field because he's faster and stronger in my opinion. He's also bigger, so it makes those things kind of easier for him to be. Um, if we think that set pieces are the thing, or not set pieces, kind of more combination plays outside the box are better, then Jabo's undoubtedly better on the ball. And what we've seen so far is a better shooter with his left foot. Kind of has more accuracy and technique. But we haven't seen enough to make a conclusive decision like this player is 100% better. But
Yeah,
I'm glad we have both of them.
for professional analysis, I think it's inconclusive as of right now. Kind
Right.
of like you said, and we just need more time to see who gels better with who. It would have been nice to see Hernan come earlier to San Jose because we were linked with him in January, but Hernan himself did not want to transfer to the Earthquakes until late due to the Copa Libertadores. So it wasn't exactly on the San Jose Earthquakes for not purchasing him at the time. There were a lot of other factors, but it's good to see him now. And I don't even think we've touched up on Hernan at all. Like this was his first
Yep.
game. Like his passing, his movement, everything was incredible. I don't want to ride on him for too long or too much, but it's like
I'll write it.
he's
I'll write it for as long as we need. If we have another half an hour of the podcast, it could be all Hernan.
he's one of the best tens I could say potentially in the league. He was fantastic for us. His off the ball movement, his predictory, the way he predicts plays and forces plays to go his way so he can defend well as a cam. That's
Mm.
incredibly crucial for the San Jose Earthquakes, and it's a lot easier for both Jackson Ewell and Carlos Grezzo when you have the 10 making those presumptuous or those decisions um, as a higher, a player defending higher up the field. That's incredibly
Yeah.
important, and Hernan provides all of that.
No, for sure. I think that that's a benefit that comes with coming from the Argentinian league. From what I've heard is that they're a very high intensity. Everything we like about Espinosa and his off the ball movement of like working real hard to get the ball back. We also see from Hernan. And I think that the way Hernan looks at the game is kind of different from anyone we have. And it's really apparent when you have a player at Cam doing those things off the ball and trying to get the ball back because he doesn't give up. He's like a bulldog, and it's really fun to see. And that's just off the ball stuff. On the ball, holy crap, he's incredible. He lost the ball a few times, but that's because it's his first time playing in MLS ever with new teammates. So all the little thing that went wrong, we can write that off right now. I don't want to hear anything about it because for me, everything he did was gold. Every touch of the ball, every dribble, it was amazing, and I can only think that there's going to be more to come from him.
Yeah, no, definitely. And something that I'd like to touch up on a little bit in that's his first touch passing. Whenever he receives a pass, he already knows what he wants to do with it.
Yeah.
You don't really see much of that in MLS, and especially in with the San Jose Earthquakes. A lot of players like to take a touch to move the ball forward a little bit. Hernan sees space, he sees he sees a player in space, and he gives them the opportunity to do whatever they want with it by giving the ball to them as soon as possible. Like it's one of those things that provides a team with better opportunities that way because you're opening space, you're letting the ball do the work, and he's doing exactly that. It's something that I wanted to see in Jack Skane, almost in Nico Sakaris. Nico has his own aura, but it's something that I wanted to see as a 10 to move the ball quickly, to distribute quickly, to give players the opportunities to move up the field, let the ball do the work. And that's exactly what Hernan provides for us. And I'm like, I was over the moon when I started seeing that. He's got the skills, he's got the passing, off the movement. He's a little guy, and he's just huge and buff. Like, oh my god.
So yeah, he is. He's a little guy, and he kind of crouches too, makes himself shorter
Yeah.
for a better center of gravity. But he makes a big impact on the field, regardless of his size. Yeah, like you said, his quick thinking. It's like he knows what's going to happen before it does. Like he makes the pass first time. He doesn't think about it. He just like he plays with instinct.
Yeah.
And that's huge. I also want to say that we didn't really get to see him shoot because every time he got the ball, he if he wasn't making a pass to a more effective player in a better position to shoot, he was covered. Like they LA Galaxy, sorry LAFC, they know who the dangerous guy is. So Ilya is not going to give him time. Otherwise, he's going to look bad. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
they didn't want to give him any time to shoot. Otherwise, I think it could have been 4-1 or even more. But no, he's super exciting. I think with more time and more chemistry building off the field or in training with his teammates, it's only going to get better. Because I can't stress enough how little time he has had. We only knew he was going to play on the Friday before. We only knew that he was cleared to even like step on the field.
Right. Who knows how long? Like, if he's even still moving into a new apartment or a place or whatever.
No,
He's
I can
he's still
confirm that
taking
he is
time.
still hotel living right now.
Yeah. So he's got a lot of things behind the scenes that he's got to take care of, and he's only had 2 or 3 days training with the team, and the fact that he's already done that is impressive for a little guy like him, a little big man, because he's a big
A
impact
little big
player.
man.
He's a big impact player, heroic Hernan.
He's kind of he's what Matias Perez Garcia was supposed to be, but he actually is that. You know?
He is that. Yeah, no, you're right. And I totally forgot about Matias Perez Garcia. Oh my god, what a throwback. There's another player though that I'd like to have a conversation with you with. and I think other Quakes fans alike will certainly agree with this. Vitor Costa.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know why Lucci didn't bring on Marie earlier. So what ended up happening was Marie went at right wing for Espinosa, who was tired. So that allowed Marie to press higher. Um, in place of Espinosa, and then Beeson went to left back, which is fine defensively. I actually don't have an issue with him playing left back if we're only defending. Anything off the ball or on the ball, I don't want to see Beeson, playing left back. It's really not great when you see Beeson making the overlapping run because he's not getting the ball, and if he did, what's he going to do with it? And that's not his fault. He's a center back, so you don't have to play him left back. It's okay. Um, but no, Murray is on the ball so much better than Victor Costa, and it's kind of frustrating to see that and see all the mistakes that Victor Costa is making, and then Murray is just sitting there on the bench, and how much better Murray could be. And he's kind of we've talked about this so many times. Murray has proved himself to be a starting caliber player at left back or right back for us. Right now we have a capo. No, don't gotta worry about right back. Left back is a place where Victor Costa is not really showing, that he owns that role. So it's kind of ridiculous to me that maybe because of pedigree, we're giving him the opportunities that we should be giving to Marie, who has over the years really shown that he is no slouch, even though that he's an unknown. Not that long ago, he deserves that left back spot, and not
Mm-hmm.
just because like he's a fan favorite, which he is, but he also is very freaking good at left back.
Yeah. Well, I think we to give context to more Quakes fans who are watching this, I think we need to highlight some of the moments that may have taken place versus LAFC. The first and foremost big one is the dribbling attempt Victor Costa had versus an LAFC player. Try to chip it over LAFC player or dribble past, but it didn't work. The LAFC guy, uh, retained possession of the ball, dribbled about 15 feet down the line, took a shot, and went straight past Yarbrough. And rightfully, Yarbrough started screaming at Costa, and I'm gonna post that somewhere. But he was screaming at Costa, and rightfully so. What I don't know what was going through his head. You're a
No,
left back, and if you make any sort of mistake, there's literally no one behind you except a possible center back or two to help make up for your mistake. It's just you. Play it simple. What
right.
there's nothing else that you need to do as a fullback.
No, there are very few things that are more dangerous in this game than a winger with no fullback to stop them running down the wing. Um, you never want to see that. And Costa gave him that opportunity on a plate. It's just like, here you go. We feel bad for scoring three on you. So now you have a go. And Yarbrough could have had a clean sheet if it weren't for that moment because it it didn't just give LA the attack, give them the opportunity to make an attack there, but the rest of the team wasn't ready. They were totally, blindsided by that. And if they were expecting it, then that's kind of sus, for like their assessment of Costa, their teammate. Um, I don't know. It's weird to me. I think that Costa does have things about him that have gone right. He's one of our top goal scorers, weirdly enough. I think that defending wise, he's usually fine. I don't see that many issues with him often. No one's perfect. And Murray has had some hiccups this year, but he's so much better off the ball. He has way more chemistry with everyone on this team. Um, I don't know. It's really weird. Um,
Yeah,
and
it
it
was.
could be pressure from higher ups to be like, we brought this guy in from Europe. Play him. I don't know.
Even then, it's still weird to to prefer Costa over Marie when we've had Marie for so long. We know what Marie's capable of. We know what his ability is, and he's proven it time and time again, scoring a banger this season. Like,
Yeah.
there was also that one moment where Victor Costa was like 40 yards out, and he decided to hit, to hit a lightning bolt, but it went about as high over the bar as Jibo's right foot shot. Like, there was no need to make that shot. I can sit here and criticize a ton of moments that Victor Costa was at fault for most of the game, but I'll leave it here. Like, there's no need to do those things as a fullback. Play
No.
play the position, keep the fundamentals, and that's something that Marie excels at. Let Marie play a couple of the games, even start him
Yeah.
versus Oakland Roots. I don't know, but I think
Yeah.
Marie's the better player here.
No, for sure. We can't. I will say we can't criticize Costa for taking shots and be like, try Marie. He never takes any shots, because Marie does definitely take shots, but most of the time they're really good. So I don't want him to stop doing that. I just want Costa to stop doing that,
Yeah,
unless he's inside the box off a corner, because those seem to work.
yeah,
Um, but another player that we mentioned briefly was Jackson Ewell. Um, and he had a very mixed performance as well. It's really weird to see how we came out of this game with a really convincing victory, despite many players not having a very convincing performance. As a team, we played really well, but some guys had some really sus moments, and Yule was one of them. I felt like uh, in the first half it was kind of rough. What do you think?
yeah. No, I agree, and it's one of those things where we also talked about prior to this podcast, in that Jackson Ewell had a really, I wouldn't say a really rough first half, but he didn't play great.
And
Given the instances with Grezzo. Go on.
yeah, I just want to add to that. I want to let you keep talking, but the problem is with that first half is that it's off the back of a few rocky performances from Mule. We haven't been happy for him for the last three games, I would say. So and then it seemed like it was continuing into this game. But yeah,
Yeah,
go ahead.
it basically rolled into like a bottleneck effect of not liking Yule. But then all of a sudden, Hernan Lopez gets subbed on, and Yule becomes a different midfielder. He dominated the midfield, took advantage of the space he had. You know, he became a much better player, the captain that we once used to know. It was nice to see that from Jackson Yule in the second half, and I'd want to give him the credit that he absolutely deserves. Like, he played really well. It's just the first half was the only, I want to say, minor issue, but he had issues in the first half,
Yeah.
where he couldn't make a successful pass moving the ball forward. Only to a man that had literally no one around him. He wasn't as crisp with his passing. His dribbling was a little shaky. There were a lot of things that I had noticed on the video analysis. I had to rewatch the game again. There were a lot of little things that Jackson had errors in, which caused LAFC to move and hit counterattacks via Buanga specifically. But I'm happy that he picked it up in the second half.
Yeah, for sure. And the second half of this game showed the Jackson Newell that I have been defending. Right. I'm always saying, like, we want Jackson Newell on the field because he does those things that we need a midfielder to do, and it's been really hard to keep doing that when he's been having really rough games. But this is the guy that I know. This is our captain, and I know that he has a very good understanding of the game. I think that every deficiency that he has is purely mental. I think that he has ability. I think that physically he can run for 90 minutes, and it's all great. But he gets into kind of like a weird funk where he can't make a simple pass, where he'll misread something, or he'll just stop moving, and then somebody who's open with the ball, like Hani Mukhtar, and they'll shoot from 40 yards and punish him for it. So Jackson Newell, I kind of wanted to move into the topic that I brought up to you, is that people are calling for Nico to replace him in midfield,
I was just about to
and
ask you that. Yeah,
I'm not ready for that. And I wanna bring up my points and then let you have a rebuttal, because I know what you stand on this.
carry on.
Um, I love Nico. Nico is incredible. If I was gonna buy a shirt for this year, I would get Nico. I would get Shakira's 30 on the back. That's how much I love and appreciate what Nico can do. But Jackson Newell provides a consistency and and experience and most importantly to me, kind of a defensive, not expertise, but like he's been in those situations and he knows like where to be, and he fights real hard. And not that Nico doesn't do these things, but Yule has proven himself a few times in my eyes to have success in those games. And what I'm scared of is that when you're playing as an eight,
Mm-hmm.
your flaws get exposed. They get blown up under a microscope because everything you do is so important on the game. You are in the heart of midfield, and everything you do is super impactful. It goes forward, it goes backwards. It's gonna something's gonna happen. And Nico is our golden child right now, right? You would agree? Um,
Oh, I would
he
100% agree.
in our eyes, Nico can do no wrong, right? And so I'm worried that because he's 18, and it's not his fault, but if he doesn't do as well as we think he should at the eighth position, starting at the eighth position, replacing the captain who was there before him, Jackson Newell, if he doesn't do an amazing job, that's not a great look, and I don't want to expose him to that kind of ridicule at this point in his career. Whereas I think a 10 is expected to take risks. I think a 10 is expected to kind of miss those passes more often and kind of like try things. Whereas like I know that he wouldn't try and dribble the whole team as an eight, but I think that he will make more mistakes and they'll be amplified further than it would as if you were playing a 10. So that's why I like Jackson. And it's not just because I want Jackson to take all the blame for everything, because that's kind of how it sounds. But I think Jackson is more equipped to do so. And Nico is still kind of building up.
Absolutely. And, kind of after Hernan gets subbed on, I would absolutely love to see Jackson get more time with Hernan Lopez and maybe another six like Alfredo Morales next to him. Um, but yeah, you make a good point in that, Jackson Yule played better with Hernan. I know you didn't specifically say that, but
Mm.
you saw the Jackson Yule that you once defended, that you keep defending. He came out, and we need to see more of that. Hopefully, maybe not next game because it is versus Oakland Roots, but the next MLS game, we would like to see Jackson Yule play as well as he did in the second half. However, kind of seeing this on the other side of the perspective here is Nico is one of those guys that can go from box to box. He can move as swiftly as an eight, as Jackson Yu can. I know he's 18. I know he's super young, but he has the talent and he has the skill. He has the ability. He has the confidence to do so. The only thing really stopping us from providing as much worry, I guess, maybe it's the opposite, is his age. We don't want him to fail at 18 and then see his career kind of blow away from that moment. But I think with Nico's ability, on the ball ability, um, his dribbling, his skill, his awareness on the field, I think it's a perfect link up for Hernan Lopez Munoz, and I think having those two as a cam and a CM, a 10 and an 8, would actually provide um, much more ability for Hernan to move across the midfield scope, um, and especially with the way that Nico plays, he likes feeding off of other players. He likes dribbling through. He likes giving people space. And the same thing with like Hernan Lopez. Like I would love to see kind of like what we said with the Jibo and Judd discussion. I'd like to see time from both Yule and Nico to see who deserves that spot better, because I am a total believer that Nico absolutely deserves uh, that 8 spot over Jackson. And yes, he is young. We could definitely ease him into that position a bit slower. Kind of give him that more experience as a sub. He didn't even play last game versus LAFC, I think. So I think we're going to see him versus US Open Cup in the U.S. Open Cup versus Oakland Roots. I think that's why Lucci was holding him off. But like, how much? I guess my question to you, Abram, is how low of a bar is that midfield position right now, given Jackson Yule's recent history with his current form? How low of a bar are we going to set ourselves to give Nico, an aspect of worry here, if that makes sense?
So that's kind of like, my worry is that I don't think the bar is that low. I think that if we had a very poor uh, midfielder, like I can't even name someone who I think is like that bad. If we
Uh,
had like,
I, Baldy, you could just say, for example, Baldy.
oh God, I feel so bad for him because we love to dog on Baldy, but say Baldy was our starting number 8 every game, week in, week out. Get Nico in there immediately. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, and that wouldn't be so bad, but it's not that low to where I think that Yule can keep providing things, and then Nico can be eased in there, of course, but moving him, because what people want and what my issue is that people want him to be the starting 8, and that's a lot because I think that the in terms of position that has the most pressure, there's 8, there's 6, there's center back, and goalkeeper. So that's the top 4. And at 8 is one of those positions you don't want people taking risks, unless it's like over the top through balls where the risk is over there. It's mitigated because it's so far away from your own goal. But any short passes in the midfield, if you miss those, then you're on you started a counter attack basically. So that's kind of like why I'm scared of that for Nico. But um, I have no issue bringing him on the second half. If Yule is tired, I have no issue with that. I think that Nico is very capable, and I agree with all the things you said about the abilities that he does have. I don't know if the risk is worth the reward.
Yeah, and also another factor like that's fairly obvious. Jackson's our captain. We're not going to get rid of Jackson on the midfield, who's already doing I guess, a decent job at the midfield position, to insert an 18-year-old who has so much promise, yet such as little experience as Jackson has. We're not going to make that trade off anytime soon, I think, unless something serious happens with Jackson Yule. Either he gets injured, a red card, or something of that caliber to make that switch. But on the topic of Nico starting for the potentially starting for the next game because of lack of minutes for the last game. Who would be your ideal starting 11 versus Oakland Roots? Who do you want to see? What kind of a mix would you like to see? Current starters, youngsters, Hernan Lopez, more minutes. What do you want?
Mhm. So yeah, I'm stuck, right? Because I want to win the Open Cup, but I don't want to give up on the season. And we've been in this spot quite a few times, which is why I think that mid-table teams or lower table teams don't usually go far in the Open Cup. One of the things that makes this one different is that there's not that many MLS teams. There's MLS Next Pro teams. So our chances are a little higher this year. Um, but it really hurts us if we go in with Christian Espinosa, Hernan Lopez, all the main guys, and then we lose. Uh, that would hurt, you know. Um, so I don't know. The Open Cup, it's been the same for the last 3 years. Of like, we don't want to give up on the league, but if we lose to the lower division team, wow, it's not great. So I, if I would kind of want to put in a youthful squad to kind of have that excuse. You know what I mean? Of like, if we lose, it's because Emi Ochoa was in goal, and no, that makes it seem like I'm hating on Emi, but because we put the younger guys in,
The less
and
experienced players.
right, exactly. So I think that I would go with the younger team and put Emi Ochoa in goal, Oscar Verhoeven at right back. I would put Daniel Muni at right center back, Tanner Beeson You could make a case for Casey Walls. I don't know if I want to. Casey Walls has has good things about him, but we need like Beeson would be the veteran presence in that back line.
Yeah,
Um,
we have Beeson and Muni already. They haven't been
yeah.
used much, so
And then at left back, I want Marie because we need more Marie minutes. Um, I don't want Costa, definitely. And I think that I would want Ricketts to come off the bench around the 60th, maybe earlier, maybe later. But Ricketts, I definitely want to see play. Um, I would want in the midfield. Dang, that's hard. I don't think Mendoza is ready. He had an amazing game on his birthday against Houston
Houston.
too. Houston Dos. He is an incredible player, one of the highest ceilings that we have at the club. But like I mentioned earlier, I think that center defensive mid is the third highest pressure position on the field, and that's why it's really you don't see very often a teenager playing that spot or starting in that spot. Um, and also with this, inexperienced defense with Tanner Beeson as the most experienced guy in front of them, you don't really want a 18-year-old unless you just that's for friendlies, So I think that Baldissimo might start. You could also see Morales. I could see him starting because he didn't get any minutes last time out. Um, in fact, that's my. I predict that he will start. Because he didn't bring him on. Lucy didn't bring him on to the last game, even though we kind of needed him on. Um, I think that he's saving him for this match. Uh, yeah, I'll say Morales at CDM. At the six, at the eight. Um, God, that's hard because do we want Nico as the eight or do we want Nico as the 10? I don't think that we see Cruz Medina. Um, but if we're talking about my ideal setup, right, it would be Nico at the 8 and Medina at the 10. Medina has improved drastically, in my opinion. He hit the gym and he grew a little bit, and those things combined have really projected his game to the next level. I felt that he wasn't having enough impact on the game at all. Like last season, he was really small and really skinny. So he would get the ball and kind of like dribble, and he had amazing technique, but then he didn't have anything else to beat anyone with. And his passing wasn't incredible. He has a really good shot, but those are the negatives that I had of Cruz Medina. He's now grown into a player who is more dynamic and able to beat players more on the dribble because he's faster and a lot stronger now, and he also has incredible technique. Um, and just game awareness is something he's kind of always had. So he's really taken advantage of his newfound abilities. So I think that he could play in this game, but I just don't see it happening. But in my ideal situation, he would. Buddha on the left. I know that Lucci loves Buddha at striker. I want Buddha on the left. Maybe Benji, but I would want Benji at striker. But then Judd, it's hard.
There's a bunch of
Um,
conflicting positions
yeah.
here.
Maybe Scan on the right because we don't know how much more we're gonna see Scan with
Yeah.
Lopez. You know what I mean. Um, so Scan on the right, he's a winger, guys. I don't. People still question that he's a winger who plays in the midfield, but he has very good ability on the wing. We could see Richmond there. Um, I don't know, but in my starting 11, Buddha left, Scan right, Judd striker. Uh,
Wow.
that took forever. That was a very long starting 11 explanation, but we got through it.
it's
I want to
it's
hear yours
it's
before
a
we
good
end the episode.
it's a good anticipation or prediction for that matter. And I
It
agree
wasn't a
with
prediction; it's a wish list.
your wish list.
My
Sorry,
prediction
sorry, sorry.
would be my prediction would be much different. But yeah, go ahead.
Um, kind of my ideal starting 11, I guess, would be, and I'm gonna take this in a completely different term because he's allowed to do this. I want to see, Biegensky or Miko.
Mikola Bianco.
We'll just say Miko Miko in
Okay.
goalkeeper to start off, and
That's a
then
Polish guy. That's the Polish guy
the
that we
new
brought in, and
Polish.
everyone was super confused. He is rocking it with the Town FC. He's an incredible keeper, and I hope that we bring him in, but I don't know where he's gonna go, honestly.
Yeah, he's absolutely
Yeah,
killing it. But we haven't purchased him. He's considered on loan right now, and
yeah, he's on loan.
he's not considered on the roster because if he was, he would be taking up an international slot, which doesn't seem like what the FO wants right now. So
Yeah,
the reason why he hasn't been playing is because of those two factors. I would love
yeah,
to see him start versus the Oakland Roots since he's capable of doing. He's now legally capable of doing so. Um, and he deserves it after all of his performances versus any of the MLS Next Pro teams. Like he's killed it. He's done a couple of penalty shootouts. He's made incredible saves versus like Houston, for example. He's done exactly what's needed to give him that starting 11 spot, and give Yarbrough a break. Let Yarbrough sit on the bench for the game, or Emi Ochoa, whatever it may be. I don't think Emi's exactly ready for U.S. Open Cup play, although that seems like a good possibility to see Emi play. But I don't know. I think we'd just be nothing against Emi specifically, but I think we'd be throwing the game a little more with Emi in the starting 11 than Bieganski, who's proved it with MLS Next Pro. Give those guys
yeah.
minutes.
So I want to set the record straight on this because I've been watching a lot of MLS Next Pro. Bieganski is kind of above Emmy right now in terms of abilities. He's 2 or 3 years older. He's played first division in Poland. It's hard to not say that he's not just had more experience in more pressing situations, but he also, when you watch him play, you don't really question it. Emmy is really good, but like Devin said, it's Bieganski is further along than Emmy is right now.
Also, and people in the our folks in the Discord are saying he's like the up and coming Daniel or Danielle. Like he's got that much talent to him to become one of the best in the league, and we have the best coaching staff in the league right now. So, I would like to see him start over Yarbrough. We've only got to one position here. So on right back, I would love to see Oscar Verhoeven, like you said, in center back. I want to see Tander Beeson and Daniel Muni starting together in a tandem. Why not? They haven't had much playing
Mm-hmm.
time. Give them the playing time that they deserve. Give the other two, Wilson, some time to recover, even though he just came back from injury and played on 90. Give Rodriguez some time to relax, hang out. On left back, Paul Marie, he hasn't had much playing time. Um, over Costa. In the midfield, I'm gonna take a wild shot here. Kind of following you, but at the same time not. I want to see Alfredo as the DM, the 6. The 8, I actually want to see is Jack Skane. He only played 45 minutes versus LAFC. I think he's fully capable of playing a full 90 versus Oakland Roots, if not less. And we can sub him out for Nico, or have Nico drop back. But anyway, I'm gonna get to that. And then have Nico at the 10. In the starting 11, and then Nico drop back to the 8 and have let's just say Hernan Lopez come in as a substitute, or whoever the other 10 may be. But I'd like to see that as the ideal, midfield uh, and defensive 11. Getting to the forwards now, that's really tough. I really want to see Benji at left wing, Benji starting. I want to see Judd at striker, and then, or not even left wing. Sorry for Benji, left attacking mid in the 4-2-3-1. And then on the right hand side, I genuinely do not know who I'd want starting. You did mention Will Richmond, and I'm pretty happy with that. Actually, I wouldn't mind seeing Will Richmond start on the right side. I can't really think of many players besides Espinoza
Yeah.
that are good playing on the right hand side. I mean, do you have any names that you would like to list off? I mean, if
I
Alex
mean,
Chow was available, I'd like to use Alex
yeah.
Chow, but I don't think he's
Um,
he's he's allowed to play with us.
no, otherwise you wouldn't be able to go to play in Stanford.
Yeah.
Um, no. So yeah, like you're saying, we've never needed a backup right winger because it's Espinosa and Espinosa. you know, like uh, yeah. I think that Richmond is kind of that guy who you would consider as the backup that you're never really going to use. Unfortunately for Will, he's a really good player. He's a very consistent player, and I do like him. He's one of the better players at the Town FC, but um, I'm not sure if I'm convinced. And also, he did come off in the first half against Houston too, so he could be hurt. I have reports saying that he was walking just fine. I don't know why he was brought off so early. Um, so take that as you will. We could see Buddha just play right winger. It has happened before. Uh, they played Benji on the right as well. I don't really like that as much. I think Buddha, he's not really a running winger. He's a dribbling winger, like bringing the ball more towards the inside. So I think that you could see that more. That's really it. We don't have a lot on the right wing. I got totally lost on what you asked me, and then I was like, oh yeah, right wingers. Yeah.
I don't remember what the question was either, so we can keep moving
Yeah.
forward. Yeah, I think that would be a good starting 11. Give the players that haven't played, minutes on the field versus a local at that USL club who may or may not be bringing fans from their local baseball team in support against John Fisher, the current Athletics owner. Um, what are we expecting to see? I think personally we're gonna have a lot of Fisher out chants, and they're not going to be coming from San Jose Earthquakes fans. They will be coming from angry at Oakland Athletics fans, aka Sacramento Athletics fans, future
Hmm.
Sacramento Athletics fans. They'll be coming in droves. I think we're going to be outnumbered here.
Yeah, I mean, I lived in San Francisco for many years, so I've always kind of just preferred the Giants. But I didn't think that we would ever become the anti-A's podcast, um, as you just picked a side for us. But
I
no,
didn't mean to. I'm
I think
sorry.
that no, it's fine. But what I will say is that the kind of abuse that we've seen in the comment sections under the San Jose Earthquakes Twitter and other social media has really like soured my opinion on A's fans because like we're supposed to be in this together. We kind of like we see eye to eye and that our owner sucks. We've always felt that way and we have that in common. But to abuse somebody who is complicit in all of it, like has no say in anything, that makes no sense to me. Um, and so th- there's no one. I never thought that anyone could make me like Fisher, and I don't. But they kind of the way that they are being about it. They're kind of like
No, I kind of get it. It makes sense. So
yeah,
it's like they just harass our social media admin. Like I don't want to say they as in like everyone. There are
yeah,
specific names that we see on a constant basis, but
mm,
it just us Quakes fans are kind of tired of it. Like, yes, we are on your side. We totally understand Fisher out.
yeah,
He hasn't spent much money on us until the last year or so, or even the last couple of days, etc. Whatever it may be. Like, yeah, he's just now starting to invest into our team, especially with the new academy facility. Like, there are other examples, but we're on your side. He hasn't invested until now, and that's still not an excuse, to support him now, even the fact that he has invested. He should have been
yeah. We
doing this a
don't.
long time ago. We're not in disagreement of that. Like he should
Yeah,
have invested money into us a long time ago and turned our stadium area, our lot, into an actual training facility slash academy facility slash parking lot slash stadium. He should have kept that all super close and then bought another piece of property on the fairgrounds for his little special buildings. Like that's
hmm,
what I think should have happened. We're in agreement, A's fans, but it's one of those things
yeah,
that like don't come to the Earthquakes social media feeds and expect us to show support when we don't appreciate, our admin hearing something that they don't necessarily need to hear. If you want to
Yeah,
protest, go to the stadium. You know, you can scream Fisher out there, sure. We will support you and say, Fisher out, get rid of John Fisher, whatever it may be. But show up to don't like I don't even know how to describe this. Like, yeah, sure, you can show up to the game. You don't have to attend the game. You can go outside and scream Fisher out as he walks
yeah.
into the stadium. But that's something that you should do. Show up, you know, protest in person. Social media, he's not going to read your messages.
No, and yeah. So what we're trying to get at is the way that they've gone about it has really, um, kind of like we have the same cause, but they're still arguing with us. They're still fighting us. They're still like going out of the way to pick fights with us for supporting our team. Your whole problem is because you support your team. So why is it any different for us? We're still just as valid, and we have the same issues. So why don't we fight together? But I've seen people, call other Quakes fans out for supporting Fisher and been like, "Oh, you love Fisher, don't you?" Like, no, we we hate the guy, but you guys you're making these claims, but our problem is how they're going about it, and it's really affecting everyone but Fisher.
Mhm.
So that's kind of the main issue.
I think
But
I
I'm
think
I'm hoping.
sorry, I
Go ahead.
think the key word that we're looking for is friendly fire. There's a lot of
Yeah,
friendly fire with A's fans, and I think there needs to be an understanding. Like, hey, don't shoot your friends.
yeah. With all that being said, I hope there's no violence at the Oakland Roots game, because that's a very big possibility, and we never like to see that. So if you're watching this podcast and you're thinking, "Oh, I'm going to go out there and beat up some Fisher lovers," there you will find none. You will find no Fisher lovers at this
Except
game.
Fisher himself,
Um,
possibly.
right. He loves looking in the mirror, or at the reflection of his head. Um, but with all that being said, I hope it's a really good game. This is a game that the Bay Area deserves, um, and let's keep all the fighting on the field, and not literal fighting. Just
Dude, we're gonna
trying
we're
really
gonna see
hard.
the return of Dom Dwyer.
Tom Dwyer, that's
I don't
right.
think Quakes fans see that. Dom Dwyer has just signed to the Oakland Roots. Like,
Yeah,
what kind of a move was that? That's insane.
yeah. It's really cool, and I'm happy for the Roots. We don't play them much. I don't see them as a rival. I've gone to some of their games and I enjoy their atmosphere. So I'm happy for them getting that. And that's kind of like another thing. I don't want the Oakland Roots fans who don't really care about Fisher to have to deal with that drama of the A's fans, having an issue with us because we're owned by Fisher.
Yeah.
And so the Roots fans have nothing. They're totally out of the equation. But gosh, it's all sports. It shouldn't have to be this serious. Um,
Love for the beautiful game. So, what are your score predictions, Abram? What do you think is going to happen?
no predictions. I think 2-1 Quakes. I think that we could score two, and then they score one. That's what I just said. What I meant in that order. Like we score two goals first and go up, and then they look like they're going to come back, but we end up defending the lead. That's my prediction. How about you?
I think it's going to be game set match. San Jose Earthquakes 4, Oakland Roots 2. We're
Okay.
gonna score three early, or three. No, I don't want to say three early. We're gonna score three first. They're gonna score two, and then we're gonna score an extra one late.
Okay. That would be really fun. This game is going to be really entertaining. Um, just for the Bay Area and the history of this kind of fixture, for the two teams going up against each other. It's the first time they've played each other in a official match. Um, so yeah, I'm really excited for it.
Same here.
Um, yeah, with all that being said, that's going to do it for today's episode of Tectonic Takes. Make sure to check the link in the description and join our Discord. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and we will see you guys next time. Peace.
Go Quakes.